Welcome to the UDP Broadcast, a podcast where a group of gamers get together and discuss. I need to really memorize that a little bit more. A group of gamers who get together and offer both informed and uninformed opinions on gaming-related topics. I'm Luminary Weekly, and I'm accompanied today by the Immortal Barcode, Aimee.
Hello, how's it going?
And the Nordic Cajun.
Skull and praise Bree brothers, let's go.
There we go. I pushed the scene transition.
Okay.
Hey, we are here.
Yeah, Woo. There we go. Woo! Today we've got developer honesty, loot boxes, and regulations, and we're going to touch on all of that today. The biggest one that I think that we could start off with is developer honesty, and that ends up being, and we deal with it literally all the time. And this week, it kind of hit a hot button with me because there was an article in PCGamer where Reddit was just roasting this game. And it had a picture of a Geralt-like figure, and his name was Gerald of Riverboat. And and the game, it comes down to misleading and misrepresenting the product that you're actually distributing. I'm sure that you've been scrolling through Facebook, going through Twitter, or any other chat feed that you mess with socially. You've seen these ads, like some of the more famous ones are the pull the pin or climb the tower.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So,
I never in one ad have I seen so much frustration, stupidity, and just that's not the game you download in one friggin' tight little ugly package.
Oh, yeah. So, but yeah,
it sucks because I would love to play the dadgum game.
And it's funny. I think somebody actually took the pull the pin game and made a pull the pin game. I mean, don't get me wrong. It wasn't as epic as it seems templated. So what happens is that you've got this application developer. It's like, man, we need to market this. What's the easiest way we can do this? And this company comes along and says, hey, I tell you what, you give me the assets. What I'll do is I'll make an ad for you, and that's why you see all of the copy paste. Whether it's just pick a random app name, and they'll take some of the major characters that people like and throw it in there, and
or all big anime boob chicks.
Oh, big anime boob chicks! That's my favorite.
Jesus.
Yeah, like waifus, you say?
I didn't know 2D could look so bouncy. That's awesome.
Boingy, boingy.
Indeed.
Oh my God, if I facepalm any harder, I'm going to.
You can bounce a quarter off of them. Daggum.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, technically, you can bounce a quarter off anything, right?
I mean, if you throw it hard enough, you can bounce it off just about it. Jello if you really try hard.
Yeah, make sure your aim is good too. You don't want to hit them in the forehead, lose an eye, or anything. So yeah, that's where we're at with this. And some of the comments inside of this Witcher-like game, and I say Witcher-like as in just the images for it.
Meet Geralt of Riverboat. That just sounds like the opening to a bad porno.
Yeah, and people can't wait to play Quirt in the game.
Oh no!
There are people out there that absolutely love Gwent, and that's where that one touches on pretty heavily. So this actually stems a lot further back than just what we see in this week's news. And you'll see people have talked about it. Jim Sterling, Total Biscuit, all about developer honesty and representing the product well. While you do get the clicks, you do get the votes, and you've got these ads that do things that just attract attention. Have you seen the ads where they intentionally do it wrong?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I have ad blocks, so I don't know.
Oh, well, let me enlighten you, caveman. So,
really? Wow. Rude.
Cave barcode.
You can't be a part of pop culture if you're not bombarded by it. So, no. So what they'll do is that they'll show gameplay footage that may or may not be from the game, and you'll see a faux hand make gestures as if they're playing the game, and they'll do it right. And then, shortly before, you'll see them, do it wrong. And you're like, oh, no, you shouldn't have done that, which really attracts interest. It's kind of like driving down the street and you have that one store that has their sign upside down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
The most common one I see is the little guy where you have to summon the little stick figures to knock down a wall, but also block the left side of the screen of the other bad guys coming, and you keep just generating the characters back and forth, and you're sitting there like you're doing it wrong. You're gonna die. You're losing. I'm downloading the game. I have to show him how to play. It's so dumb.
Indeed. And then you go download the game and you start playing it, and it is not representative. There was some game that I played a long time ago that ended up using one of the tower ones where you are in a single tower and you have a tower next to it with like 3 levels, and each one of the mobs are below level, of level, and above level. And you have to move your character to the correct one. And the first one they do, it does it right. Dude gets decked out in armor and gets a sword, right? And then he does the second one and he destroys 2 mobs at once. Fantastic. And then the third one, he jumps up there and just gets his face smashed in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the game that I played, actually, they incorporated just that scene inside of the game at the beginning, and then went into the normal cookie cutter gotcha
Trash.
Yeah, trash. It's all the same, honestly. I can't distinguish one mobile game from another anymore. But outside of mobile games, we do see a lot of misrepresentation from developers, even in the PC side and the console side. There was another article from, was it Kotaku? Or was it Game Developer? I can't remember. It might be here. I've got it up over here. But it was a God of War clone. Yeah, God of War knockoff being sold on Xbox Store. And so So
God of warning, come for you.
Yeah,
but on this store, it's called War Gods Zeus of Child.
Oh,
it's been taken down. I just checked the Xbox store. It's gone.
That poor
That's
developer.
Shame.
I know. Sad face.
So
there's apparently gameplay footage. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh my god, this is horrendous.
And developers will do that. They will turn a quick buck. They will take some pre-made asset and throw it into an arena and do things. And while, don't get me wrong, the idea of using pre-made assets is not a new thing, but doing something new with it to build upon the context of the character that you're looking for, or that you're playing with or trying to build, that's where all that comes in. But if you're just going to be like, look, it looks like Kratos. It's not Kratos. It plays like shit. And we're going to throw Resident Evil zombies at you. There we go.
It is great. God of War.
And it says $4.09, so $4.09. So that being said, it was all-purpose cleaned right off the Xbox store, according to IME. So
that's hilarious. And this doesn't just go across as just for blatant ripoffs too. This also goes towards developers who boast and really blast their game and really show no progress in terms of development.
Reach out Legends? What?
That one, but I'm talking more about a cult classic, Bendy and the Ink Machine. For those of you who don't know, Bendy and the Ink Machine was a cult classic game that came out 5 years ago. It was an indie game made by a developer known as the Meatly, and it's a horror based, like you take Mickey Mouse and turn it into a horror game, is along those lines. It was beautiful, great little jump scares, in-depth backstory. I mean, this guy had it going on. He's had people write books for him. He's had merch sales. He even made a quick follow-up game that he only charged $1 for, called Boris and the Dark Survival. So it's a mobile game based on one of the characters of the game to help promote the sequel, Bendy and the Dark Revival. The gameplay and previews that came out within a year of that game, it was like Mickey Mouse, the dark inky world of the 1920s, 1930s, made a love child with BioShock. Like it was looking gorgeous. It was looking like a great jump scary horror filled nightmare. And not only me, my son, biggest fan of fucking Bendy on the planet. Like he asks me at least once a week if Mr. Meatley has announced anything yet. This was 5 years ago.
That's dedication right there, knowing the developer's name and whatnot. You're doing it right, Cajun.
But here's the thing: it was 5 years ago, and of course, he started developing it, and he was putting out previews and trailers, and then 2020 hit, and we all know how COVID screwed a lot of things up.
Oh yeah.
But we're in 2000. We're halfway through 2022, and the only real signs of life coming from him and his quote unquote team was a teaser trailer, not teaser trailer, it was a teaser photo that he posted on his Twitter on 4/16, which is when Bendy was first released. And it's been 5 years since the original announcement of the game, and he hasn't given us a true update of why it's taking him so long to create the game. Granted, he had a team at the beginning, a team of like 10 or 12, and something went down and the team bailed on him or something along those lines. So I don't know if he's now just doing this by himself and with Mike Mood, which is his co-developer, which the two of them made Bendy, the first Bendy, by themselves. I don't know if they went back to that model and that's why it's taken so long. But the fact that you haven't told your fan base a damn thing in over 3 years, that kind of bites the hands that feeds you over and over again.
Yeah, that's getting to like No Man's Sky lands of bad. Because
Oh
like
yeah.
you should always like anytime you're developing a game, I understand that there's a lot of pressure to get it out. There's a lot of pressure to meet timelines and everything. Um, but going more than 6, 7 months at a time between updates, even if it's nothing, just to say, yeah, we don't have anything to report, we're still working on it, just something to keep that engagement up. After 6, 7 months, you're hurting yourself and you're just shooting yourself in the foot if you take, anything longer than that to engage your fans or even just put out a notice of what's going on.
Especially with how well done the initial 3 trailers were.
Yeah.
Like the first trailer, it drew me in immediately, showing off the new graphics they had installed in their whatever engine they were developing it in. The second one showed actual like visual gameplay of the new protagonist, her voiceover actress, some of the abilities that she can use, and then it showed one more of Bendy walking behind said main protagonist, and that one was back in 2019. And then the last thing we had was the picture, like I said, on his anniversary. Um, at one point, you're going to lose momentum, and people are not going to really care anymore. At this point, we're tired of getting fed breadcrumbs. At this point, at this point in the development, you should at least have a gameplay trailer out. You don't have to give a final date of when it's going to release. You can just say coming soon, and that'll have everybody's erection at full mast ready for this game.
Yeah, and then
Well,
comes the questions of when is it? When is it out yet? And
They've been asking that since 2018. That's never going to stop until that game hits the
well,
Steam store.
and that brings up a good point. Like, there are some developers that don't put out any gameplay footage trailers until they're 3/4 of the way through the development phase and the testing phase, and there's others that are trying to get it out as quick as possible. And the problem is if you get oh, shut up. My ex-code friend is reminding me of a fucking game he bought me that I refuse to play. Anyways, there are some companies that'll actually put out a gameplay trailer, just a couple months into development, and by the time the finished product is ready to release, nothing in that trailer is relevant because things have been added or removed, graphics have been updated or downgraded depending on what's going on. It really makes it so that developers need to pick the most appropriate time to release gameplay footage. And doing it too early sets too many expectations. Doing it too late, you're not going to develop any hype for it. But doing it when you're about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way through, you've got a mostly finished product. You're able to start generating some of that buzz, and you're not going to set unreasonable expectations on yourself by having the trailer, show off things that you just are not doing in your game.
So I think Cyberpunk also suffered from that a bit. You remember some of the trailers for
Oh
Cyberpunk?
my god.
Hey, and mind you, I loved the game. Everybody gave it so much garbage. I played through it. It was really kind of meh. Had Keanu Reeves in it. I played it for that. It's kind of like watching the live-action Death Note for Willem Dafoe, right? Yeah, like that's literally it. He was the best part of that whole live action. But aside from that, if you remember, for Cyberpunk 2077, like they had this lush city and it was organic and people were giving you quests just by walking by them. And I say quests, missions, whatever it may be. But
Jesse Cox and his penis.
yeah, well, that was a fun mission. Oh my God, it burns. So now you got to be in there.
No, granted, I am all for a developer taking their time on their game. Don't get me wrong, because everybody saw the fiasco of what happened with Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach and how much of a buggy mess that game was because they rushed it because they were trying to make the deadline, which is what I think the Meatly is trying to avoid by not giving a hard date. Because in the first game, he broke it down into 5 chapters and released them periodically. He wanted this one to be a full-fledged game at release. So it was gonna be a bigger undertaking regardless. But I put some pictures into the main chat in the Discord if y'all want to take a look. The game looks gorgeous already just from these pictures that he sent. It looks absolutely just phenomenal. If you just looking at it, like I said, it reminds me of BioShock, like a hardcore BioShock
Yeah,
game.
it definitely has that BioShock vibe, and almost like a Borderlands vibe, just from the art and the
ink art, yeah.
hard, that hard black line.
And that's a play off the 1920s black and white comics that the game is based off of.
Yep.
So just these 2 pictures, game looks phenomenal. Give me something to eat, Meatly. I'm starving. That's all I'm trying to say.
Don't get me wrong, game dev is hard. I mean, he went from a team of 10 to a team of 1, which means he's doing all the things, and anything that he can't do, he has to license out, like music or any type of asset he needs. Mind you, he already has the assets he needs, but yeah.
You still got to throw your constituents a bone every now and then.
Yeah, and when you go from like a work team of 10 to 1, your work just increases, and that's all there is to it. So he's having to go through all the jobs that he has to do, and while the general gaming public was just like, I don't care, I can't see it, but I'm tapping my vein, right?
That's why I'm not too vocal about it, but tonight was the best time for me to just pop that cork and let that fly.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that comes back to the last podcast that we had where we talked about was it developer harassment yeah, and that's just it. Like everybody has their chosen niche that they want to do and they want to believe in, and when it doesn't meet expectations, like, oh my gosh, you remember the backlash for No Man's Sky? Mind you, they've delivered in spades almost 10 years later. But they did it. I'm sure they went quiet, but I'm pretty sure they were receiving their fair share of death threats and shenanigans from the gaming public being like, why did you do this? And of course, they had to wait for the fallout of finding out how much money they were actually going to have after everything was refunded, right?
I don't know if you guys saw this earlier in the week, but the lead, what's his title here? He's the co-founder of Fat Shark Games. His name is Martin Walland. Hopefully that's how you pronounce it right. His team is doing Warhammer 40k Darktide, and they just put out a message a couple days ago that they're actually going to be delaying the game launch. And he gives a good reason why. Like he like just puts it out there saying, yeah, we're delaying it because we want to make it better polished. We want to get more bugs out. And he didn't really give a timeline for when it was going to be pushed back until, because he wants the team to get all that stuff fixed before they release it. And I find not enough developers are even willing to do something as basic as that. Like if you have to delay it, great. I mean, it's kind of shitty. You're looking forward to it, but at the same time, for me personally, if you have the integrity or the willingness, I guess, to put that message out to your fans saying, hey, this game is getting pushed back because these are the reasons why. To me, that's going to guarantee that I spend money on your game, because you're being open and honest about what's going on, and you're actively saying, I do not want to be Electronic Arts. I want to put out a good game.
There was that one one meme I saw where this guy sent a message to EA going, "Hey, I just want to let you know I really love Dark Souls." And the EA rep responded back, "Hey, that's great to hear. Unfortunately, we didn't develop that game." And he goes, "I know." You've also got integrity and dishonesty in the sense of like the biggest offender. And I'm going to say his name. It's almost like Voldemort. Peter, Peter Molyneux. If that name doesn't ring a bell, he was the figurehead for Lionhead Studios, the creators for Fable, and later on had his own company. And I'm pretty sure you heard about this one. There was Curiosity, What's in the Box? It was a mobile game. So what made that interesting is that the initial push for Fable back when Xbox was released was, yes, this game will allow you to raise a character and affect the world, and you get to grow up, and you get to do all of these things, and you'll get to learn magic, and your reputation shall precede you, and whatnot. And they went through, and he just hyped it up. Of course, I mean, he didn't promise anything like multiplayer, but he was definitely promising sprinkles, magic stars, and what was it? Donuts and cocaine. Like that's what he does. Like, this is the things that it can do. It's a marvelous wonder, and show wonderful screenshots and gameplay and whatnot. Almost in the vein of No Man's Sky. And once you got your hands on the game, it ends up being the whole systems that he was talking about ends up being more like Knights of the Old Republic or any BioWare RPG where there's a light side and there's a dark side. And yeah, so Peter Molyneux was amazing at talking the business and selling the product.
He could talk the talk, but his games couldn't walk the walk.
Right. Don't get me wrong. The game still ended up being great. Fable 2, not so much. Fable 3, eh. But when he started his new company for Curiosity, What's in the Box, it was a tap the block type game. So you get this cube and you tap on it, and you tap on it repetitively, and it is a game for the entire world to play. And they tapped on this thing. Everyone, you tap on it, and the goal was to get to the center where the prize was. But they're not going to tell you the prize. And you can spend close. It was actually a revenue share of Godus, which they never released.
Oh no!
Then I did get the dick.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, I mean, it sounded great. Like, oh yeah, revenue share, and then dictation of what happens in the lands of Godus and whatnot. And it was just scrapped. You don't hear much about Godus anymore. It's just done. But during that time, of course, this game also had microtransactions, one of my other favorite topics, where you could buy better picks and do other things and get to the center faster. You would pick a square on this large cube and just tap, 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 tap. Even I did it because I was like, you know what? I want to know what's in the box. And after about 2 hours, like, I don't care what's in the box. Good luck to the person who finds it. Right?
All I could hear is my dick in a box. I'm stuck on dicks for some reason. Sorry, guys.
You like what you like.
Yeah. If you're stuck on it, I mean, insert GIF of hot dog face here. So.
Yep. Hot dogs getting thrown all over your face.
No, Spore Enigma was actually done by, and that's another good one as far as like developer honesty and whatnot. Spore was developed by Maxis Studios, which is now part of EA. And Will Wright had the best imagination and showed off some great stuff as far as like what the character creator could do. Yeah, it was Maxis. It was absolutely amazing. They even had Robin, like they had celebrities come in and create their own creatures, and like even Robin Williams did it. Like it was, they were pushing it hard. Like, yeah, it's the best character creator ever. But you didn't get a sense. You knew that you were going to play as a cell that evolves into a creature, and then it was supposed to take you to galactic travel. I liked the game loop kind of, but it ended up being samey, and I didn't care about getting into the galactic center. Kind of like in No Man's Sky. But when it was released, it was nothing like they had talked about. The game was done in phases. There was no organic transition between where you are to where you were going, and it was really ham-fisted. to do these things. Okay, so you're a cell, fantastic, and now you're up on water, out of water. Now you're a creature. Go kill stuff. What's this? You've got a bunch of creatures with you following you around. Let's start a tribe. Now you've got the tribal game, and then you've got the civilization game where you have to take over the tiny planet that you're on. It was nothing like it was represented inside of all of the talk that they did. All you saw was the character creator, you saw the famous people making their characters, and then the stuff that it was going to do. And while it did do the things, it didn't do the things exactly like they said.
We just want the things. Don't give us the thongs.
Yeah.
Want things.
So,
The
yeah.
developers can't always give us the things because sometimes the things look better on paper than they do in the actual game, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Especially if the paper's in front of your users or potential users.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times that me and my buddy would get together and say, oh, man, it's going to have this and it's going to be awesome. And now that I'm older, I'm like, hey, I'm going to wait. Like, let's let the people do the things, right? Like, let's let them figure it out. And if I decide to get it, I'm going to get it when it's $4.99 on Steam.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, developer honesty is going to be important. I understand that, while game development itself is an art form, and it should be viewed and treated as such, it's an interpretation of a world that doesn't exist, with rules that you've made up, that people have to suspend belief and exist in your arena. It doesn't matter where it is. And I understand that all that requires money, but to simply just shovel out garbage and put a price tag on it, not okay.
You get Diablo Immortal,
And you get EA games.
Oh yeah,
cheers.
Me opening my San Pellegrino
you should
natural lemon iced tea or lemonade. It's wonderful.
Cracking.
Tart as fuck though.
Oh yeah, no, it's pretty good. The wife likes the
Not
blood.
sponsored.
Hashtag.
No. If you're gonna sponsor it, you actually have to get close to the mic and you got to hear it go.
Oh, gross! I don't do ASMR.
No.
Okay. Actually, if I do, it's gonna be just a dial-up tone.
So
frantically search his phone for a ringtone.
Or it could be modem noises.
That's that's what I meant. Modem noises, because I actually have that as a ringtone.
Angry computer noises.
It's yelling at me again, Mom.
So, and this kind of leads us into the next topic: is loot boxes.
Those bastards.
Yeah, and we'll probably end up talking about a lot of this stuff over and over again in different contexts. But loot boxes tend to be. I'm going to say it. I think they're a waste of money. However, it is a source of income, and it should be viewed as such. And while some companies and developers implement them right, as far as what you're doing, there's something that doesn't rub me right about it, and I think I figured it out. This comes on the heels of a Diablo Immortal player spending $100,000.
$100K.
My heart just sank down to my feet. What the hell?
He spent 1/10 of a million. No, Asmongold, I think he only did 10K.
Yeah, he was in the 10K range. I remember him doing this stuff.
There was a New Zealander that went 15, 16 and got a thing that he wanted. But this dude burned $100,000.
First of all, if you have that kind of disposable income to throw it at freaking Blizzard, give me a phone call. We can do some work, man.
I understand he refunded it all. I don't understand how you can refund a loot box. I don't like what's in the box. Can I buy another? I have no idea. So it doesn't go into detail about that. But what happened is he decked out his character. He made it to the end game. Because the end game in Diablo Immortal apparently is the PvP. And since the game loop is so addictive and you want to keep playing, it makes sense. Okay, so now I've got to spend money. This is the only way I'm going to get anywhere. And he dumped $100,000 and burned his gear up. It's intense. And what he learned is because he spent so much money, he couldn't find a match anywhere. He was literally top of the game.
He was top tier.
I pulled up the article. He actually contacted Blizzard about not being able to play. And
where is
yeah,
everybody?
they're like, yeah, we're aware of the issue.
Where
Like, okay, great.
That's
Great.
that's their kind way of saying, yeah, you fucked up.
I don't know. I mean, if you give
Thanks for your money.
you give a
Yeah.
company $100,000, you would expect like, oh yes, no problem, white glove. Let's find out what's going on. Let's get you a match. You want to go wreck noobs? Let's go wreck some noobs. Like, give them what you want. Anyway, so that was all based on loot boxes. So he spent that kind of money and got exactly that. Now, there's an argument. I think I made it in one of the previous episodes of what loot boxes actually are. Right, there are a random
Gambling.
chance. It is gambling, and the news that came through had to deal with like Belgium unable to enforce, or it makes it hard to
Yes.
enforce loot box rules, or the EU. I think the statement that the EU came across was like, hey, you know what? We don't view this as a problem we should really step into because we don't want to chase off any potential businesses. That's the key right there.
Yeah, they were like, you can self-police.
Yeah, you can self-police,
Yeah.
and because the technology it evolves rapidly, we see progress and whatnot and so forth. And while loot boxes are in the spotlight, this is not a new concept anywhere. And I had a long think about it. This also stems to, and I've said it, trading card games, collector games, anything that has some sort of collectible value, but you don't know what it is when you buy it. I'm pretty sure if any of you have stepped into, I mean, when's the last time you stepped into a comic book store?
2 weeks ago.
Wait. 2019.
2019. Okay, close enough. Those still existed. And they've existed for years. And it's the idea that mind you, loot boxes are virtual, but if you apply the same concept to some of the stuff that we actually have physical manifestations of, baseball cards, Pokemon cards, yeah. So
we just touched on his crack.
right,
Cocaine.
and,
cards.
And Nordic probably you heard him jitter, like that's the thing. It
Go
gets
listen to that damn ditto.
Yeah, see, and that's what it's about. People buy the baseball cards. I got to get this one thing. Got to get the updated stats. The Pokemon cards for the Ditto. They've actually released little boxes, and I got one for my wife for Doctor Who because we love Doctor Who around here. And you open it up, and it could be one of 6 things, and one of them is ultra rare. So that still feeds into it. It's not anything new, and it's really hard to really make legislation on something physical like that on something virtual like that without its physical counterpart actually being affected. It's all gambling. It will always be gambling, and you will always do that. But in the case of coming into the physical products, you are coming in with money, and you exchange for a thing. You're doing the same thing virtually, except there's no physical exchange of money. It's all electronic. So I think that's the biggest problem here.
It's so much easier to spend electronically than it is with physical cash because you have to get off your ass and go to a bank machine, you can withdraw money, and then go back to spending it.
Yeah.
Versus, I'm just going to fill my Steam wallet and buy the new Space Barbie stuff for my Defiant class starship in Star Trek Online. Yay!
Exactly that.
And the sad thing
Speaking
is,
of which, I need Space Barbie.
the sad thing is, though, it's so easily implemented in anything you do, especially what I've been finding out, especially when it comes to kids' games.
Oh
Like
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Harrison, my little 6-year-old, he has 3 big loves in his life: Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, and Roblox.
Oh, Roblox is a huge offender. Not Roblox themselves, not the platform, but
No,
the developers, like the
Yes.
developers who put their game on that platform, and
Yep.
and it's all done in Robux. So while it kind of gets around a lot of regulations because you're not really buying Robux for that particular game, you're buying Robux from the platform,
Mhm.
which in turn you could go and spend in said game. And there's a lot of shit games on there.
Oh my God, there's so much trash. But he finds the ones he loves, and every now and then I see him running across the room to Mama because the iPad has Mama's finger ID on it, trying to squeeze some more Robux out of her.
Just
I'm like, Harrison, No, you will play this game for 3 days, and all of a sudden I hear tick ding. I'm like, well, don't listen to Dad.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's addictive. It's all addictive. So again, how do you justify regulating just one aspect of this when it's prolific across everywhere? At which point, it's all gambling. It will always be gambling. You're just not getting anything in return for it, as far as monetary concerns are. You're just
For you, no. But the thing is, case in point, down here in Louisiana, we have a huge horse racing area that opened up a few years ago in an area that has destroyed the economy there because so many people just waste their paychecks on trying to score big on a horse race. And of course, the government loves it because they gonna get Uncle Sam's gonna get his. So gambling benefits the local government anyway. And when it comes to online, depending on where you are, they still get their cut. It doesn't matter what kind of gambling you're doing.
oh yeah. And once it's considered gambling, it's taxed differently.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why online casinos and whatnot have such trouble, depending on what country they're in, and the legality of it is all dependent on where you are too. So, like if you're in Nevada, you could totally do that kind of thing, but being in Texas, not so much. So, I don't know what Canada's rules are, or if you have a whole province dedicated to ill repute, I should call it.
Red district.
Yeah, we don't go to Ravenholm.
Well, so it's funny. You should say that because depending on the province, the age varies between 18 or 19, and if you're in Quebec, unofficially, you can get away with a lot of shit, especially in Montreal. Like there's the strip in Montreal. Literally, I don't remember what the actual name of it is anymore. I used to, but it's a strip full of strip clubs, and for a little extra, you can get a little extra.
Giggity.
Yeah. Oh, it's more than a giggity. It's a giggity goo.
Happy, happy, joy, joy.
Oh man.
I would no. Actually, I've never actually been to one. I'll be completely honest. I'm just I've never procured a chance to go to one.
Oh man, the last time I went to one was a magically hilarious night because I went with a guy who had the exact same name as me, and it was
just a pair of barcodes going downtown for a good time, mate.
Well, see, he calls me up. He's like, "Hey, want to go to one?" I'm like, "Sure." I'd rather just go get a beer at a pub or something. He's like, no, we'll go to this. I'm like, oh my god. There was oh god, it was amateur night.
Oh.
And when you can't walk in the platforms and you're falling every step, just
boingy, 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 boingy.
No, it wasn't. It was like it was not even on the stage. It was approaching the stage, and the person was falling over. It was sad. I felt bad watching this. I'm like, I'm gonna laugh too much. I need to not be watching this show.
Well, with places that
Poor
actually
things.
have it, I'm not saying legalized, but like when I was in Nevada myself, my folks were like, "Hey, we should go get a steak," and I was like, "Okay, cool. Where are we going?" And mind you, we were in the middle of nowhere. It's in the Death Valley somewhere. But yeah, we'll just go down to the brothel, and they have great steak there. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, they serve steak at the brothel. And it's one of the more well-known ones. I think it's Sherry's Ranch or something like that. It's been around.
I was going to ask if it was the Bunny Ranch.
Well, it's way out there.
No, that burned down, didn't it?
I don't remember. I know that there was a place that had its own air landing strip and whatnot, so big people can come in. They had menus and whatnot. I'd have to go look it up. But like even still, because they thrive on this kind of thing. Hey, you and your buddies can go and get yourself a steak, watch some sports ball, and then there's a whole different menu. Yeah, and
God.
And then on that menu, there are individual menus of what you can and can't do, as
Of course.
I
per
need to not say. Yeah.
as per vendor.
Oh
So,
no.
and
Oh no.
some of them are famous too. And mind you, because it's regulated and not necessarily state sponsored, but state allowed, like they are clean, they're certified. Like that's it. That's why they cost so
But
much.
most importantly, are they unionized?
I would love
they
to
should
see
be.
that. Yeah, well, absolutely. But
Yes.
technically, they're not employees. They're all independent contractors. They should unionize as independent contractors for sure.
No, they should unionize so they can get a much better fair share of the money they make. Because who's doing all the work? Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like your barber shop. Like that. Like they are all contractors and they rent out spaces inside the shop.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's a whole different type of gambling. A whole different kind of loot box.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
You never know what you're going to get.
Well, you know what you're not going to get in Nevada. However, everywhere else, you have no idea what you're going to get. So.
Oh no. Welcome to the show where we talk about strip clubs and brothels.
We're going to do it our own way with blackjack and hookers. Let's go.
So some of the
something Bender.
Yeah. I know, baby.
Bite my shiny metal ass. Man.
So forget the blackjack.
So,
God damn it.
mind you, loot boxes do supply a different dynamic to a game. It's another thing that you can do, and you can get cool stuff out of it. Whether it's pay-to-win items or just random garbage like rainbow throwing knives or glow-in-the-dark banana hammock. It just really just depends. Like it varies. Sometimes it awards in-game currency that you can use for other things. Like
speaking of all this, did you see the new rules that China has put out for loot box designs?
Loot box designs. I did read up on that.
Yeah.
But tell me what you've
So
got.
I've got it right in front of me. It's really interesting how they're changing this, and I'm interested to see how this will work in the long run. Before the new regulations came into effect, there was no loot box restriction. So there was no limit on how many loot boxes a player could open. There was no regulation of static probability, that being the chance of a player getting a specific loot box item, known as the drop chance or percentage. And that could remain the same for every open incident. With the changes, though, and I don't know if I like this, but I kind of do. There's a daily limit on how many can be purchased by a player, and it's no more than 30 single loot boxes, no more than 3 10 times loot box bundles, and no more than 50 boxes in total. So you have that purchase limit per day, a clear in-game display of their daily limit must be shown in the game. So if you buy a loot box, you know you've got 49 left. And then the drop chance has to be dynamic, and it has to roll in the favor of the player. The more loot boxes you open, just so you're not stuck at like a 0.001% chance. Like if you're playing WoW and you're trying to get Mimron's head, good fucking luck. I mean, that's the drop rate on that is 0.00001% or something. It's bad. But the idea here is that the more you open, the higher that percentage gets until you just get it, type thing. And that might actually be helpful, especially if people have addiction issues.
Oh yeah,
Because now you're going to be guaranteed to get something, when you're approaching that near daily limit. So that might be interesting. It'll be definitely a cool thing to follow.
Or cause an existential crisis, like I got one more.
Yeah, but it'll be nice to see how that plays out in the long run, and how that changes purchasing behavior.
I agree. It'll be interesting because at that point you know your limits. You don't have to set your own limits. You just won't empty a bank account. right?
Mhm.
I mean, mind you, you could empty a bank account over the space of a few days, but yeah, I think putting these limits out there is probably for the best. Other times, and mind you, and that's just for the random chance box itself, right? 30 singles, 3 10 times bundles, and out of all those, you can get 60, but you can only open 50 in a day, which is interesting. It's an interesting play to curb addiction, and they've already got China already has some pretty intense regulations as far as that's concerned, and that's what it's all about.
Some pretty intense anti-fun legislation.
Yeah, that same article that you just that you just talked about also talked about how Blizzard is giving loot boxes because you can't. One of the rules is that you can't exchange money for random chance boxes. That is gambling, at all.
Yep.
You can't give a company money for virtual money and use that money for loot boxes. So this company that actually works with a Chinese government and gets your game out into China was saying, yeah. So what Blizzard decided to do was, buy your in-game currency and check this out. We're going to slide some loot boxes your way. Here, go have fun. So they're not really buying it. It's an add-on to it. It's like, hey, here's a gift.
It's value added.
Right. It's dynamic. It still drives buying in-game currency, and you're still
Right,
limited by the loot boxes. But now you've got a different way to do it, and like I think that's how you just get around. Like even in Belgium, that's the thing. You just throw it in with the purchase, because if you can't sell the loot boxes outright, well, if you're giving them away for free with the purchase of something else, well, you can't stop that, can you?
Yeah, it's like anytime you buy something, they're like, here, have this for free. You buy this and we'll throw in whatever to sweeten the deal type thing.
Hmm.
That's kind of standard.
Indeed, and
I do like the idea that they're making it. They want to make it dynamic to actually go into the favor of the player because Lord knows how many times we've spun that wheel in freaking League trying to get that rare skin, and we get the same skin over and over and over and over
Hmm.
and over. So it's nice to see. I mean, they got a lot of things wrong. I'll give them a thumbs up on that one.
Yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the long run. I do hope it helps curb some of that really heavy addiction that some people have. Because if it can start slowing down the purchasing and cause people to pause a second, for some that might be enough to just shake them and get them out of that little closed loop in their head of like, I got to do one more, got to do one more. And for others, it may not have an effect, but even then, maybe there's some more that are like, oh, you know what, this is pretty bad. I need to talk to somebody about it.
Until you get those kind of guys that open up multiple accounts to get 150 pulls a day.
well,
Stairs in what the fuck was his name? Prepared WoW with 100 fucking bot accounts when he multi-boxed on Emerald Dream.
for China, everything has to be verified. Like before you can make an account for any online internet service provider, and that's what they consider all of these games as a service types games, or where you have to do anything. You have to be able. One of the requirements is that you have to verify the users who they say they are. So it's usually by a
Yeah.
phone number because all the phone numbers are registered in China. It's always registered to someone, so you can always verify that way. And there's also things you have to implement in your game in order to even track all of this stuff. Like you have to have an action plan for anything that is spoken against the Chinese government, hate speech, anything. It's real intense. And here, let me see if I can pull it up real quick because I was looking at it.
I got you, Lemmy. I'll go down the list for you.
Oh, well, I wasn't going to go down the list, but
I'll hit the bullet points. We got the endangers the national unity and sovereignty of the nation, distorts historical facts about modern and historical or imperial China, depicts real or fictitious foreign entities invading China, discusses state secrets, that makes sense. Promotes fascism, glorifies war, violence, or criminal activity. That made me laugh.
No Grand Theft Auto.
yeah,
Depicts
God damn it.
any religious activities or supernatural stuff such as cults, fortune telling, ghosts, vampire. I can't sell my book in China. Damn.
There goes like
Depicts,
half the fun games.
yeah. Like you're basically playing Angry Bird at this point. It's the only thing I
Yep.
think might make it across the border. Of course, no porno, nudity, homosexuality, yada yada, and no violence,
Sex
torture,
ed.
corpses, skeletons, any kind of blood at all.
It can't be
To
different color blood. You can't have blue blood. You can't have green
No
blood.
mass
no,
destruction. We
no,
can't play Command and Conquer.
and nothing too scary, guys. We can't play scary games in China.
Oh my
Um,
god.
and then content of insults on people's freedoms, whatever those are over there, and
Limited?
yeah,
Not existing?
and then of course
Wait, what?
gambling and drug trafficking.
Yeah, so definitely no Grand Theft Auto.
Mhm.
No Saints Row. Boo.
Oh God, I remember old school game. I don't know if y'all remember this game. It just came out with some remakes. The Oddworld series,
Never heard of it.
Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, Oddworld Abe's Exodus, and so on. It was a platforming game back in the day. Absolutely gorgeous game. I still go back every now and then and play it on Steam. They they had to change the character's design in the second game because in the first game he had four fingers, the main character, and I think in the second game they had to redesign him to where he had three fingers because I think it was like a insult to Asian railroad workers because they would lose their fingers a lot.
Hmm.
So they had to change the entire character design just to have their game be able to be played and sold in China.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was the craziest thing when I read it back in the day.
One of the more interesting restrictions that they have in here, Cajun, is you can't depict plagues, you can't have map editing, and you can't use it for organizing a union, which is interesting.
That's why they got
Ooh.
freaking Animal Crossing banned because they were getting together and doing virtual protests.
Mhm.
Like
Oh
they
my
don't want you
God.
talking with nobody.
The map
So you can't even
editing.
play Plague Inc.
Nope.
Nope. It's actually on the list of you cannot. What's interesting is the map editing. There is a thing for even registering to build games for China, and if we're using anything that is China, um, and it's sovereign states, and it's like Taiwan, the special administrative zone of Hong Kong, and any of the internal. I don't know. Are they provinces? Are they states?
They're provinces.
Provinces. Okay. Any of the internal provinces, you have to depict like the borders and everything. Like it has to be one for one as opposed to the treaties and everything else. And the reason why map editing is not allowed is for this reason, because you are not allowed to separate mainland China at all. Like,
Ugh.
yep. Because
I mean, at some point you gotta wonder who sat here and thought all of this. Like, why?
it's all
Why do they hate fun so much?
it's all about controlling the public. If you
It,
stifle the idea that you cannot play as the antagonist in the story of China, or in harems, you can't do harems, regardless of how historically accurate it is in China, and it's even stated. No, you cannot depict you cannot depict having multiple wives or any sexual relations at all. But the entire idea of not being able to role play kind of sucks the life out of it. So you get games like Flappy Bird. Don't get me wrong, I've seen a lot of really flashy Chinese games with some awesome characters, and they go and fight. But then again, you can't depict death. So once the character dies, it has to immediately disappear, or within a
so
short span.
I looked up a
Their
list of.
reasoning is. Why?
It's, the reasonings are funny as hell for some of them. I found a list of all the apps that can't be published for like mobile games and shit. Game walkthroughs. Really? You're not allowed to publish game walkthroughs.
You
Any
can't
apps
let's
for
play?
yeah, if it's a walkthrough, that's one thing. Let's plays are usually different because a walkthrough will tell you this is exactly how you do this. This is exactly where you go to do that. Whereas a let's play is, hey, I'm playing the game, and oh, look at this, I found this and I found that. One is more reactive, which is the let's play. One's more planned and thorough, which will be the walkthrough. Any sort of app that earns virtual currency, so no Bitcoin mining, even though their malware has it. Awesome.
Right.
Routing software that's reserved strictly for the government only. Gambling apps, no. Mojang and poker games, no new ones.
Didn't
Yeah,
they
they,
create Mahjong?
Yep. But
They
and
invent
they literally
Mahjong?
say here, these are seen as encouraging gambling, and the government feels there are already too many on the market.
Yup. And there are.
Uh, Religious apps, game app stores, so the Play Store or the Apple Store, no, not allowed. And then religious ones. And oh, my favorite, Wi-Fi cracking and VPN software and services. But I like my Wi-Fi cracking. It's fun.
For
Why would you take that away from me? Oh, and nothing for getting around the Great Firewall of China.
Oh yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
not. Mm-mm.
Set
Nope.
it on fire.
You mean what? I can't use Tor?
So if you ever wondered why some of those big Chinese software development companies, be it game developer or other developers, I think the two biggest ones in the news right now is ByteDance and Tencent. And we already know Tencent has Epic in its pocket.
Yep.
So
They're soon going to have other people, but we have 4 minutes left in our show. We're going to have to shelve this to next week.
Oh.
Bum,
guess
bum,
Wow. We
bum.
went that far on
Dude,
loot
we were
boxes. Holy shit.
freaking on
Yeah.
a roll.
I told you loot boxes could be 30 to 45 minutes easy.
Yep.
So
So we'll have to shelve the 10 cent for next week.
Ooh. All right, we'll put that on the docket for next week.
All
right. Let's get our round table, and we'll start with you. I mean, what have you got planned for this week coming up?
More storyline stuff on my Demon Hunter in WoW. Once that one's done and I get flying, I'm going to go back to Battle for Argus content to get that done. Tonight specifically, though, I'll be helping my girlfriend go find the long forgotten hippogriff mount.
Oh, the one in
From
Burning
Legion.
Crusades?
No, in Legion.
In Legion. I didn't see that one.
Yes,
I've
that one is very difficult to do. I got mine when Legion had just come out and people were just finishing some of the content. So I was already 120 when I went to grab it, and it took me 2 weeks to get it.
Wow.
It was good times. So that's what I got going on.
Ah.
What about you guys?
Yeah, Cajun, what do you got coming up?
Oh, let's see. I got more, of course, Pokemon content coming out this week on the YouTube channel. Trying to get back into the swing of things for my other socials, but freaking work is killing me. Won't get back to normal till September, of course, but we gonna make it work. Currently, I found a niche in freaking League of Legends that I'm loving. I'm playing freaking Ash support, and I'm having success out the wazoo. I'm undefeated in ranked right now playing that stupid role, and I can't believe it's working as good as it is. So I'm gonna milk that cow. As long you don't want to milk the horse. That's not how we do this.
Or the bull.
Cow. Yeah, the bull. And then I had a quick little funny story for Lumi tonight. I went over to my in-laws' house, and we had all of the cousins and all the nephews and all the nieces. Like everybody showed up, and we were having a grand old time. And one of the older ones, his name is Jace. I had a huge hand in helping this kid grow up a little bit when he was a kid because of situations with the parents, and he's always looked up to me as one of the favorite uncles of the crew. And today, out of nowhere, he just comes up to me, looks me square in the eye, says, "Hey, Uncle B, like, what's up? Want to arm wrestle?" I looked at him, was like, "You sure?" It's like, "Yeah, I want to arm wrestle." Like, okay, you asked for it. Went to the living room. We squared up. It was the cutest thing in the world. He's freshman, sophomore, and he's got some guns for his age, despite how scrawny he is. But boy went full throttle out the gate and almost caught me off guard. I'm gonna give him credit where credit's due. He almost caught me off guard, and my arm just like we were locked in the center of the table at least for a good 20 seconds before his poor arm just went crashing down the table, almost broke the table. He was like, like, hey, come back to me in a couple of years. I'm sure you'll be just fine.
Decisions were made, and now you have to go work on yourself.
Let's choose the biggest dude in the house to arm wrestle. That was a smart idea, kid. That's why I love him, though. Dude don't care. I love him to death. But yeah, that's on the docket in terms of content this week.
Well, good. I look forward to seeing it. I try to watch it whenever it comes across my feed. So I think I'm subscribed to you on my regular user channel, which goes back to the tweet that I sent you as far as YouTube Premium is concerned, I mean. No, so I've got one for content creation. I got one which I use every day, which my family's attached to. So that's the only reason I know that. Because when I swap, yeah, no, it's Adpalooza.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's yeah. As far as what I'm doing, other than podcast production and cutting content and things of that nature, I am playing WoW as well. I'm now max level. I am currently running around in Ardenweld. I decided to take the night phase Covenant
Nice.
path. Yeah. So that ended up being nice. So I'm grinding that out right now, and I'm absolutely loving it. So yeah, if you ever need a bear tank, Amy, I got you covered. But I'm still
All right.
like I'm still normal right now. So I can't do heroics or mythics or anything. So
I haven't even started any of that. I'm still doing storyline content, so it'll be a while.
nah, yeah, there's a lot to do, and that's the thing. It's a mature product. There's always gonna be a lot to do. Other than that, I still want to get my hands on No Man's Sky and give that a whirl again. It hasn't happened.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, you two, I think you specifically, Lemmy, mentioned a game not too long ago. It was about dwarves mining in space.
Oh, Deep Rock Galactic.
That's the one. That's what I've been trying to figure out what the freaking name of it was. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good one. I absolutely love that. It's teamwork and spooters and all kinds of stuff. Oh, and mining and dwarves. Space dwarves. Everything's better in space. So there's space spiders with space dwarves and a space mine.
Was it you that bought me Deep Rock Galactic, or was it somebody else?
I got you Deep Rock Galactic on the pretense that I was going to stream it, and then I ended up doing other things. Same thing with No Man's Sky.
Hey, if we wanna do a UDP
Game night?
dwarf night, I'm down.
Yeah, maybe.
That wouldn't be too bad for like an alternate, like maybe a Wednesday, or it just depends. I don't know what your schedule's like, and I'm pretty sure Imy's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So.
And Wednesday, Thursdays, I'm doing D&D.
Right.
Yeah, most nights I'm available. It's just the afternoons are shot.
Right, and my Sundays are shot too, because that's the day where I actually take our footage and split it out and start asking questions. And
oh, it's on sale for 50% off right now.
Ooh, throw money at it. Throw it. Keep it away from the Pokemon. Keep it away from the loot boxes. Don't do it.
I already bought this week's box of Pokemon, so I'm good.
Oh no.
Well, on the note of production, don't forget you can follow Imy on Twitter at Imy21.
Twitter.com/Imy21.
Yep. You can follow the Nordic Cajun over at YouTube /The Nordic Cajun, and myself at youtube.com, The Luminary Weekly. I'll have this podcast up and processed by midnight Sundays for your drive to work. Other than that, I think we're done. Any final words?
No.
I have one.
Time to go fire
Goodbye,
a
everyone.
Goodbye. So long, chat.
Bye bye then. Bye bye.
It's been wonderful.
Bye.